Okay, now you guys are going into step 2, and here's where I really want you to take out a pen so that you can go through this exercise with us. And this to me is, I'm going to call this sheet the differentiator. This is the sheet that's going to double, triple, quadruple your income. But it's also the sheet that lets you do the right job for your clients. And there's something in life, you know, kind of one of the rules of life. Do the right job in business for your clients. If you always do the right thing for clients, you're going to be very well taken care of. And unfortunately, everybody in our industry, sometimes I see people that are too lazy to do this, and I don't get it because we're talking about triple, quadruple the income by using just one simple form. So we're going to go through this form, and once again, please have out your notebook, and I want you to kind of notice how I ask these questions. So I'm sitting here with hubby and wife, Doug and Nancy, and I come over to Nancy and I go, Nancy, I'm going to have to ask you a couple uncomfortable questions here, but I'm going to do something that not everybody in my business does. I want to help you determine what your insurance needs are rather than just kind of guess at it. Okay? This is something that we take pride in doing the right job for our clients. So I asked the wife, Nancy, if something were to happen to hubby, Doug, and his income were gone, do you have any debts that you'd like to have paid off? And we're talking debts such as college loans, car loans, credit card loans, all that kind of stuff. So Doug, I'm going to, and everybody, we're going to pretend on this call that Doug's 40 years old with 3 kids. So Doug, between student loans, car loans, and credit card loans, what would you think just the average American family might have across America?
Probably 30 to 50,000.
Okay. So why don't we
well, I'm in Orange County. It might be higher here. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I'm just going to go 35,000. We'll try to be a little bit conservative here. Okay. So, so Nancy, if something were to happen to Doug and his income was gone, you definitely want to have those paid off. Next is final expense. We typically recommend 15,000. However, in certain cultures, it's 40,000. So what do you want me to put in here, Doug?
Well, I think that we'd want to have a celebration of the life, so probably 20 would be good.
20,000. Okay, so we've got 20,000. And notice these are not my answers; they're Doug's. I'm going to come back to the income here, Nancy. So Nancy, the fourth one here is the mortgage or the rent. It's either or. You've got 3 kids. Your youngest kid is about 3 years old. If something were to happen to Doug, would you want the mortgage paid off? So the question becomes, what's the average mortgage balance across America? 200?
I think the average is probably 200. In the metro areas is probably higher. In Orange County, the average is about 375,000.
Okay. We're going to once again go conservative here, so everybody write in 200,000 for the mortgage.
And guys, it's going to be whatever it is. Whatever their mortgage is what you're going to put there.
Right. And if they're renters, well, if you're renting a house and Doug dies, you know, that rent goes on. So Nancy, what's your rent per month? Let's say it's $1,500 a month. Well, how many years do you want to pay for? You're raising 3 kids. She says 15 years. That's $18,000 a year for 15 years. That's just as much, if not more, than the mortgage. So the mortgage is for mortgage or rent. And then you put rent, how much per month for how many years. Now, Doug, here's an important one, or Nancy, here's an important one. If something were to happen to Doug, his income's gone, would you want money for your children to go for education? It might be a private high school. It might be be to help along the ride of college. I put my kids through college, and I can tell you that's not even close to enough.
That's for sure.
But we recommend $100,000 just to try to not overestimate. So 3 kids, $100,000. That's $300,000. So if we take a look, we've done everything but the income here. So Nancy, something happens to Doug. You got the debts paid off, final expense, mortgage is paid off, or rent. We got not enough money for kids' college education. But here's the question: are you working? Can you get by on your income? And if not, how much additional income would you need every month? And so, Doug, why don't you answer me and try to be kind of conservative?
Well, Ron, when she was 38 and I was 40, she wasn't working. She was raising the kids, and so she'd have to replace all the income. At that time, it was about $10,000 a month. So for most people in the country, it might be somewhere between 5 and 8, maybe.
Okay. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go real conservative. I'm going to go $3,000 a month because she does have the mortgage and stuff paid for.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point.
And more than likely, you're going to live. So this is just in case you die. And so my philosophy is never try to get them too much insurance, but let's get them the basic coverage. So $3,000 a month. Now your youngest kid is 3. You're going to need that for 15 years. $36,000 for 10 years is $360,000. Let's be conservative and just put $360,000 in there, you guys. So having done this, and having done this in a very conservative manner, if I add this up, I got 5, 6, 7, 8, 860, 880. I got about 915,000. We're going to round this off at 900,000. So Nancy, here's what I'm trying to say. Based on the answers you gave me with my help, we're going to recommend a minimum of $900,000 of coverage. And our life insurance does have living benefits. And the living benefit number is always a function of the death benefit number. Okay? So with $900,000 of death benefit, you're probably going to have in the range of $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 of living benefits, should you need those. So you guys, so then when you're done with that, we're going to go over and start asking Doug. If something happened to Nancy, and in this case she might not be working, but you know, we're going to find out how much she needs also. So we're going to do that exercise.
Hey, Ron, I found out that when they did the analysis for the 9/11 survivors, they valued the value of a stay-at-home wife who's taking care of the household at $250,000.
Got it. That's a good one.
There's a lot of costs that need to be replaced by the husband. If I was working, I'd have to have somebody taking care of the house, taking care of the kids in you know, probably private school, that sort of thing.
Right. Okay, now moving on. And you guys, this is where the money is made. So pay special attention, please, right here. This is, you get paid to do this part of the page. You get good at this part of the page, you're going to be making $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 on cases. So Doug, here we go. Doug and Nancy. I know you told me that you're putting away $300 in your 401k, so we're going to start there. And you got a $100 match, which leaves us with $200 a month. And that $200 a month is tax deductible. So if I take away part of that because of the tax deduction, I'm left with, I'm just going to write in here $150. So right here where I'm moving the cursor, I'm going to take that $150 and we're going to stop the madness and put you into a tax-free plan instead of a taxable plan. So I started there because I've already learned about the 401k. Okay? Now, Doug, now let's go up to the top. Doug, on top of that money you're putting into the 401k, in addition what can you afford to put away every month? And I want you to think of it this way, in case you live. For retirement, tax-free retirement plan, the more you put in, the more you get. So everybody's got their realistic budget. How much can you afford to put away every month for your future?
Well, Ron, things are pretty tight with 3 kids at home, so probably, I don't know, $100, $200 max.
Okay.
You're talking about over and above what I'm already spending, right?
I'm talking about over and above what you're already spending.
Yeah. So be safe, say 150.
Okay, 150. And I want to get a number that you can afford, because this is not something you want to start and stop.
Right.
So,
No, that's what
150.
I'm giving you a conservative number here because I know that it's important that we keep that going.
Okay. So next, Doug and Nancy, do you guys own any current life insurance at all? Do you have any of the old-fashioned stuff? Do you have any term insurance or anything like that?
Yeah, I've actually got $1 million of term.
Oh, you guys, okay. And what's that costing you on each of you?
I actually don't have anything on Nancy right now, but I've got $1 million on me because I'm the only breadwinner, and the cost is 100 and let's see, it is 100 and no, I'm sorry, 220 a month.
Okay, 220 a month. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to put that into our formula. So you guys, I got $150 a month on number 1. I've got $220 a month down here, and we are going to get rid of this whole policy once we get you qualified for the new stuff. We got $150 from the IRA. Now that I'm going to move. I want these are real important questions now, because we're talking about trying to find the money to fund what I'm going to call a real retirement, not some haphazard deal where you're hoping for the best. So it doesn't answer. Do you get a tax refund every year?
Yeah, we usually do. And it's
Okay.
usually in the range of thousand. Well, we're usually at least 1,500, sometimes as much as 2,500.
Okay, what I'm going to do here is be real conservative, and I'm going to put in $100 a month, so that would be $1,200. And I'm going to ask you to go to work tomorrow and go to Human Resources and up your deductions, because you don't want a tax refund. It's nice to get, but you're loaning the government money at 0 interest, and you might as well have the money work for you instead of the government. So we're going to take $100 here, and we're going to put it in your retirement plan. And then you guys, the 5th step here, and this is a touchy one, okay? And I think we've got to deliver the message right on this one. So in my example here, Doug and Nancy have joined Freedom Equity Group. And my question in trying to do really the best job for them now is, Doug and Nancy, let me just ask you this, because this one's huge, maybe. So in coming into Freedom Equity Group, you're going into business for yourself. And there's a guy named Ron Mueller who wrote a book, and it talks about home-based business deductions. And on our website, I don't know if this is done yet, but I told somebody to do it before I went to Hawaii. But on our website, you can get this book, and Ron has told me that he's never been able to save anybody less than $300 a month. But you really do have to be in business for yourself. You can't dip your toe in and not be in the business and have intentions of making a profit. You have to be somebody who was actually serious. But check this out. What if you were serious about your own business? And let's just be conservative and say that it saved you in tax deductions $200 a month. That's money that would have gone to the IRS that now goes to the Doug and Nancy Fund. $200. If you're actually serious about being in your own home-based business, the government's going to help you fund your retirement plan. So you got to be in business long range. You got to become a student of the business. It's got to be something you want to do, not something I'm talking you into. And you got to be here in a few years to really make this one count. So that, I don't want to use this if you're not very serious. So, you know, how serious do you think you are? Do we want to use this incredible opportunity to help fund your retirement?
Oh, yeah, I'm very serious, Ron. I need to do something. The industry I'm in is the mortgage industry, and it's going away. So I see this as the future. So I'm part-time now, but I expect to be full-time sometime.
Okay. Doug, are you sure? Because I don't want to mess you up here by...
Well, I'm dead sure. I don't have a choice.
Okay. Now, you guys, I want you to kind of understand what I did here. I want to make Doug qualify to get this one. Because I don't want to use it if he's here today, gone tomorrow, and lapses his policy. It's ridiculous. But if he's truly serious, Doug, today you need to get Ron Mueller's book. And you need to start writing, you need to start reading it, because now you're talking about being able to deduct, you know, part of your car payment, your gas, your auto insurance, your house, your heating bill, your garbage bill, the square footage of your home office, you know, all that stuff, but I'm not going to get into totally, the book does. And by the way, we can't give tax advice, but we can certainly talk about the concept as a whole. So now, you guys, if we sit here...
Hey, Ron, let me inject right here. This is really important, guys.
Go for it.
That particular question goes way beyond what we're doing here, which is really important. This is important for helping your client, your new rep as a client, of course, helping them get the best possible retirement plan going. But in addition to that, when you make them qualify for that home business deduction and you go through that conversation that Ron just went through, what you're doing is you're setting yourself up to be able to coach them in the future as a serious business person. So,
yep.
So that's a really, really important part of this process.
Yep. You're going to find out where they're coming from. And you want to find out where they're coming from, because you got to spend your time with the right people. And I'm going to tell you this. I would rather not use this to, if somebody's kind of, I don't know-ish about the business opportunity, I'd rather kind of put this one on the side and not even use it. Because if they come in and they're here today and gone tomorrow and all of a sudden they can't afford this thing, I didn't help them at all. So in other words, Doug and Nancy, you're going to kind of have to prove to me how serious you are in order for us to really use this 200. But let's just assume that he says what he just said. So let's take a look at what we got here. I got 150 extra money. I got 220 for the insurance he's already paying. I got 150 left over from the 401k. I got $100 from the tax refund, and I got 200 from the home-based business deduction. I add that up, I'm at 370 plus 2, 3, 450. I got $820. $820 a month to work with. Everybody, now listen to me. Even if we cut this all in half, I got a nice case, right? But here's the point I want to make. By going over and talking about needs, and then going down and talking about funding sources. And by the way, we're still not done. Doug, down here. So in this column, I got $820 a month. Doug, tell me a little bit about the 401k you are funding. How much money do you have in there currently?
I just checked it a couple of months ago. I haven't looked at it lately, but it was about 22,000, I think, a couple of months ago.
Okay. So you got $22,000 in there. With most employers, you probably can't move that money unless you stop working there. So probably, Doug, we're just going to keep that there. It's different with everybody. Or another answer could be is, hey, I just left my job and I need to do something with it. Where, well, our choice is we can roll it into a guaranteed income annuity, or Doug is 40 years old. We could, if we wanted, we could do a 72T and have additional funding for the life insurance. Okay? Because there's a lot of background noise here. So, so anyway, guys, so now I've got $820 a month, and we finished step 2. Now, step 3, please write these down. These are so important to get. Step 3 is another shortcut I see most people taking, and I understand. Step 3, Doug, is here's your common sense book. Doug, do you like to read books?
Yeah, actually I do.
Okay. Well, if you like to read books, here's what I'm going to tell you. When you're done studying for your test, I don't even want you to think about this yet, but when you're done studying for your test, because I don't want to overwhelm you with too much stuff here, I want you to study this common sense book. I want you to read it once, and then I want you to really go over chapter 1, 2, 3, and 8, and maybe even 9. If you study this book, Doug, you're going to know more than 95% of all the other agents in America, because there's so many people in America that don't take their business serious, and they've been in the business 20 years, but they've been in the business for 1 year 20 times. They don't ever learn anything. You study this book, and here's the other reason I'm giving you this book, Doug, is we're talking about $820 a month, and that's a lot of money. And I want you to understand your retirement plan. I want you to understand what is indexing. How do you get the gains of the market without the downs in a tax-free environment? I'm in this book right here on the cover. I'm going to show you the cover here. But right on the cover, and this is some pretty heavy-duty stuff. Oh, I don't know why that always comes up. So right here, how to get 300% more spendable income. What Wall Street doesn't want you to know. You guys, this book impressed me more than any book I've ever read in our industry, and it might be a little too much for clients. In fact, clients read chapters 1, 2, 3, and 8, maybe 9. Agents, if you want to get really, really good, you better study the whole dang thing. It's only one book, it's not that much. And that's just if you really want to get good. So I want to move on right now. So I always give that book. That's step number 3.
And Ron, that book is available on the company website, right?
Yep. Yep. And I'd order a minimum of 10. I think you get a discount at 10. I don't even remember. But there's not such a thing as Ron Petronovich going on an appointment without this book. I've never done it. This book is who we are and what we do. And it makes us, you know, it's an investment that I make in my clients. It costs me $10, $12, whatever it is. Big deal. Big deal if you got an $820 a month case. So you guys, now we're going to move on. So the next thing I do is I go to my software and I develop the case, and here's what I'm going to do with Doug. Doug, we figured out Doug needs about $900,000 of life insurance, but he told me he has an existing policy for $1 million. So I'm going to make sure we give him $1 million. I do not feel like lowering his face amount and taking on that liability. I feel like I'd be liable. So we're going to give him $1 million. That's not a big deal. He's 40 years old. Insurance is cheap. But here's what we're going to do. Out of the $820, I'm going to take $750 a month for Doug's IUL, and I'm going to take the money left over, and we're going to do a minimum amount of life insurance so we can maximize the cash values. and then I'm going to take the money that's left over, the extra $70 a month, and I can have that available for either Doug or Doug and Nancy for their supplemental term insurance policies. So more than likely, I haven't run the numbers yet, but more than likely, we're gonna do an IUL for Doug, a term for Doug, and a term for Nancy. Now, Doug, do you want me to just run a case real quick, or and show you what we can do, or?
Sure, yeah, that'd be great. But before you get into that, guys, Ron, would you just address why it's important to have those two term policies in addition to the retirement policy?
Well, here's my feelings on it. Number one, I don't know without running the numbers what $750 in an IUL face amount is going to be. It might be enough, but usually it's not. But with $750, it might be enough. But the other thing is, I like having the term policies because if you do have a heart attack, stroke, or cancer, I'm going to use the term insurance for my living benefits and not my permanent, because I don't want to mess up my retirement. So if I have, let's say, a $500,000 term and I get a check for $350,000, I'll probably end up putting that money into an annuity and using that to continue my income later. So I really, for me personally, I have an IUL and I've got two term policies. And I do that.
Yeah, Ron, also I think that it's important for everybody to know that I believe that the number is almost 70% of people will have heart attack, stroke, or cancer prior to age 65, right?
Right.
Well, that includes your spouse, that statistic. And so what opened my eyes to the value of that was the reality that the cost of surviving one of those things is catastrophic to most families, and it doesn't matter whether it's the breadwinner or the non-breadwinner that has that problem. You still have those bills, and so that non-working spouse still needs to be covered with enough life benefit to have a significant living benefit.
And that's one of the things that's so cool about what we do, is doing this complete job. So now, you guys, I'm not gonna really teach how to do the software. I'm just gonna do a quick run for a 40-year-old male at $750 a month.